Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In the initial stages, it is told that the world, in Shankar Bhashya, initially it is told that the world is a product of ignorance. But yeah, what did we see in the 114th OV of the 7th chapter, where we are trying to we are coming to this conclusion that there is nothing called ignorance. Here Jnaneshwar Maharaj and Shankaracharya also, eventually the conclusion is the same, that the whole world is nothing but the reality. But how do you look at it? Do you say name and form is reality? Do you have the eye to see the reality in the name and form, or is your attention hijacked by the name and form? For that, I just thinking, just before we started, I was thinking what example I can give. Now, name and form is a wave or an ornament or a pot, but the reality is is the water or the gold or the mud. Really, the appearance of a wave or a ornament or a pot is not due to ignorance. In and through and through, before, during and after, it is nothing but that material called water or gold or mud. So how can we say it is ignorance? See? So same way, there is no data present to prove that the world of names and forms is born out of ignorance. Then why is it told it is that ignorance is the cause, desire is the effect, desire is the cause, karma is the effect? As long as you consider yourself there in those three examples, it is easy to know that everything is that. But when it comes to subjective, we see ourselves as an admixture of consciousness and matter. When we see wave, we know it is water. When we see ourselves, do we say that I am conscious only? I also accept that I am the form, I am the body, I am the birth, I am the death, I am the, my attention goes on that one also. And that becomes the prominent thought in our mind, a prominent acceptation by our intellect, and then all these arguments that Adi Shankaracharya begins and eventually refutes and goes beyond is only to give up our obsession with the acceptance that we are only this body or only this form. So that's why it is told. The question of ignorance conditioning the self does not arise when there is no desire to know the immutable self. The question of ignorance conditioning the self does not arise. Hare yaar. So we cannot be conditioned by ignorance. Why? Take it subjectively. Because we are of the nature of consciousness. Story over. If we are of the nature of consciousness and if we accept that, then where is the question of ignorance? Conditioning the self does not arise when there is no desire to know the immutable self. Activity begins where there is sense of otherness. Activity begins where there is sense of difference. So if you keep feeling that you have to come to know the consciousness, you desire to liberate, you desire to merge into the Atma or the Brahman, till then activity will continue happening in your mind. What is that activity? Seeking. What is that seeking expressing as? Thoughts. Until when these thoughts will come, till you do not accept or the penny doesn't drop that I am me. How can I seek myself? देखो मजा. So how can here when he says that when there is no desire to know the immutable self, when will that happen? When you have no desire to know the immutable self, when you completely wholesomely accept that you are the self in spite of thoughts, in spite of the presence or absence of thoughts. We don't want to create a special situation in order to know the self. Vedanta is not about that. That special situation is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi. But there in Savikalpa the thought is still there. In Nirvikalpa it is a state of laya, but again you come out and the world is there. So Vedanta is not pushing you into creating an artificial circumstance condition within yourself so that you can realize yourself. Vedanta is telling that you are already that which you are seeking. Accept. Till that acceptance doesn't happen, you will keep seeking. You will keep desiring, I must liberate. देखो. So Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, Manauni apuleci mukha pahavayachi bhuka na bane ma anika ke righela. He says, therefore, when there is no desire to see oneself, how can there be a possibility of otherness? This is another beautiful conclusion. When there is no desire to to know the self or be the self, how can then there be otherness? Where there is otherness, there will be a desire. Question. Full stop. So, to whom is this statement? Remember who is speaking. He is not there to convince you. He is not there. He is only telling. He's saying these words out of his own realization. Shankaracharya argues. Shankaracharya discusses. Shankaracharya does so many things. Here, he is only telling you his experience of realization. Therefore, the Atma Tattva has no desire to know itself. So, who has desire to know itself? Who has the desire to know itself? The individual. But who is there an individual or is there Atma? First you decide that. First you come to this conclusion in yourself whether you are an individual or you are essentially the Atma. Once you accept you are the Atma, then there will be no yoga practice goes out of the window then. Yoga is union of individuality to infinite Paramatma. Array, Atma is one without a second. Where is the question of yoga then? Because there is no duality. You have accepted you are Atma and you are one without a second. There is nothing else apart from the self. Now to stay with that, stay with yourself without a thought that I am the Atma, I am all that there is. Why is it not happening? No, I completely accept what you are saying. Everything is. So we have intellectually we are convinced, but abidance is not there. Intellectual conviction that food fills up the stomach, but we have never eaten the food. It's not going to bring that feeling of contentment. So acceptance must lead. Acceptance, conviction will lead to acceptance. Acceptance must lead to abidance. Abidance when? Right now. Right now. Not in a later time. So Atma Tattva has no desire to know itself. Desire is an expression of ignorance. Where there is Atma Bhava, I amness, there can be no desire. If you say I am having no thoughts, I am calm, I am content, I am still in myself, I am me. If a thought is arising with reference to something, then the Atma Bhava is not there. You're still in the mind. You're still in the mind. Because some reference is required. And what is the reference here? You may be using some object, some emotion, some feeling, or and all of this is by way of thought. Let the mind think. You watch. But don't accept yourself to be the... See, what is the basic ingredient of a thought? Subject, object, and instrument of knowledge. If the mind is saying, I am the self, aham brahmasmi, mere repetition of aham brahmasmi is not equal to abidance. Till a point where the subject, the aham, comes to accept that, hey, I am Brahma, I am the one whom I am talking about. And he stops. In that abidance, the aham brahmasmi goes away. The repetition stops. The repetition was only there because I was approaching myself objectively. So here Swamiji is saying, where there is Atma Bhav, the I amness, there can be no desire. There can be no desire to know yourself where there is Atma Bhav. In sleep, there is no desire to sleep. Is there? In sleep, there is no desire to know yourself because you are complete. In sleep, no thoughts, no desires, no doubts, no confusions. no shortcomings. You are at one with yourself, at one ment with yourself in sleep. Where there is desire, there is Anatmabhav. And what is Anatmabhav? Not self-feeling. What is not self-feeling? A thought. A manifest or unmanifest thought. There is nothing is Anatmabhav. I am ignorance is Anatmabhav. Aham Brahmasmi is Anatmabhav. A thought. I am me is Anatmabhav, if it is a thought. Where the abidance happens, Anatmabhav vanishes. Because that thought can only appear if the subject, that sentence, the basic sentence is subject, object, instrument of knowledge. If the subject is there, only then the thought will come. But if the subject has left the object and instrument of knowledge and is abiding in its own nature, has realized that it is the infinite one, will it hold on to, will it associate with, will it give importance to the object or the instrument of knowledge? It will not, no? This I amness, because of which absence of desire is possible, is the reality. So try as much as you may, objectively, if your approach is objective, maximum you can reach is emptiness. But there, when emptiness comes, then you say, oh, there is nothing. That is also a thought. That is also a thought. Only when we become subjective and accept that we are, first we accept we are the subject, then as we become, our stamina of being the subject continues, then this subject is one without a second. This subject that I am is one without a second. Then story over. This I amness, because of which absence of desire is possible. So the absence of desire is not possible by continuing to think. Absence of desire is not possible by convictions. Absence of desire is not possible by merely reading the scriptures. Absence of desire is not possible by till Nirvikalpa Samadhi, absence of desire is not possible. Till Nirvikalpa Samadhi, absence of desire is not possible. Because with desire you go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi and you come out and again you desire to go back into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So desire pursues you all the way till there. Then how is desire obliterated, dissolved completely once and for all? Only through the acceptance that I am. So when we are in the poise of I am, when we are attentive of I amness, in that don't mistake bhav to be a feeling. Feeling is in the mind. Bhav is your nature. So there is no English word for it. Disposition may be. So Atma Bhava. Yeah, I understood. There is nothing to understand there, Atma Bhava. What did you understand? Either the Atma Bhav is there or Anatma Bhav is there. If you say I understood, you are in Anatma Bhav. Remember our Keno Upanishad. I have come to know that I cannot come to know, but that doesn't mean that I don't know. That is the bhav. That contradictory language is the only way you can express it. So there is no yes and no there. One cannot have the intense desire to know the self because I am. Then, but sir, we say mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is intense desire to know the self. Yes, we do say that. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. As long as you feel you are an individual, or I should say the word bhav, as long as the bhav of individuality is there, till then these four purusharthas are valid. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And one must keep seeking, keep putting the effort. It is only when you are not distracted by anything in this world on your seat of meditation, not disturbed by anything, unwanted thoughts of the world are not erupting in your mind. Your mind is focused on the self or thought of the self. Then this type of thing, because still there is distraction. This is one way of looking at it. Till there is distraction, you get hijacked by the distractions. Who? You, the conscious you. Or you, as we told in the meditation today, or you don't worry about what the thoughts are coming or not coming, and you be equanimous, undisturbed, unreactive, uninfluenced by the thoughts that are coming or not coming in the mind. And slowly, where Jnaneshwar Maharaj is not starting from the basics, he is coming straight to the PhD. He is not going into the basics at all. Basics, Shankaracharya ji takes us. If there is intensity of spiritual practice to discover something other than I, that effort is bound to be useless. Vijnanameva abhayam. To the extent dispassion is developed about names and forms, to that extent one is established in one's own essential self. Understand, this is the beauty of our Shankaracharya, to understand when realized masters speak. Or not only Shankaracharya, but his explanation. And what are the scriptures saying? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. If there is intensity of spiritual practice to discover something other than I. So it is not mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is intensity to discover I. That is mumukshutvam. But if there is intensity to study all the scriptures, there is intensity to do yoga, there is intensity to study Bhagavad Gita, there is intensity to do pranayam, there is intensity to do nam jap, there is intensity to do savikalpa samadhi or get into nirvikalpa samadhi. All this is anatma bhav. From the ultimate point, all this is Anatma Bhav, because you are seeking something that is only temporary. Think. Think from the ultimate point, because you are ultimate at this moment. So all that I have just narrated, all the various things, all of them are Anatma. They are not the self. If study of, so should we stop study or no study? We are studying in Amrutanubhav. But is it leading to Atma Bhav? Or are we lost in the nectarine words of the Guru, of Jnaneshwar Maharaj? Oh, what a wonderful explanation. Oh, what a wonderful example. Oh, what an idea. How he is expressing, unbelievable. He doesn't need our validity, man. He knows who he is. Reading him, listening to the commentary. Oh, how wonderful it is. Are we validating, giving validation to Amrutanubhav? Anatma Bhav. We must lose our individuality. And that is only possible when there is, when we come to this I amness, when we come to this Atma Bhav, only then it is possible that the last remnants of referential acceptance of ourselves by way of thoughts drops away. Only by Atma Bhav. So our scriptures are not here to promote Anatma Bhav. Scriptures are here to promote Atma Bhav. They are giving directions, they are giving methodologies, they are giving contemplations. And we know all the contemplations except Atma Bhav. What the contemplations must lead to, that is missing. But we know all the verses of the Gita, we know, we can quote the various masters at the drop of a hat, we know all the sadhanas. But that one main point that had to be gained through all these study of scriptures was abidance in the self. That itself is missing. Even though it can never be missed, but when I say it is, that alone is missing, because individuality is expressing. Think. So here he says that if there is intensity of spiritual practice to discover something other than I, that effort is bound to be useless. So you cannot find the reality in the scriptures. You cannot find reality in the world. You cannot find reality in your partner. You cannot find reality in your children. You cannot find reality in the desires. You cannot find reality in the emotions. If the reality is all that there is, then the world is also real. Then I will look for reality in my children. It is not going to be possible. You will become, you will break down after some time. I look for the reality, the Atma in my partner. It can never happen. It is an internal journey. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. Raise yourself by yourself, in yourself, for yourself. Na atmanam avasadayet. Not by taking support of anything else other than the self. second chapter, no, sixth chapter Bhagavad Gita. Remember? Did it say Uddharet Atmana Shastranam? Did it say raise yourself by the Shastras? Did it say that raise yourself by the Guru? Did it say raise yourself by meditation? Did it say raise yourself by anything? It says raise yourself by yourself, in yourself, for yourself, without taking any support of anything else. Because you are already that. Then because he does not understand, then Krishna has to explain, I don't know where the self is, please tell me in detail. ऐसे बुद्धू को क्या बताएंगे? Find a clean place in your room and you put the asan there and every day come to that place and sit in meditation, and then unwanted paraphernalia is given. First, the correct answer was given. Correct approach was given. But when a person doesn't understand, then the teacher thinks, no point breaking my head against this fellow, let me come down to his level rather than and then bring him up to my level. Therefore, the importance of Guru and scriptures in our life. Because we are so stubborn that we don't want to give up being an individual. And yet all data is showing that you have infinite capacity to give up. Infinite capacity to let go. Because you are letting go every moment. At your sensory level, at the thought level, at the conviction level, everything is letting go. At the waking is let go every day, dream is let go every day, sleep is let go every day. You know, you have as old as you are, that much data you have of letting go. Nothing you have remained stuck to, if you really observe. But when we come to spiritual and the self, my thoughts of my children come on the seat of meditation. What do I do, Swamiji? When I close my eyes, I become afraid, Swamiji. अभी इसको कौन बताएगा अभी? Self-created doubts, self-created fears. Doubts and fears are only about Anatma. There is no doubt or fear about Atma. If fear is coming, you are not thinking, you are not contemplating on the self subjectively. You are contemplating on the self objectively, then alone fear comes. Get these basics right, and that's it. If there is intensity of spiritual practice to discover something else other than I, that effort is bound to be useless, because it's not going to lead to any result being abidance in the self. It is not going to lead, because you are thinking of anatma, thinking of not self. Thinking a thought is also thinking of not self. It is objective approach to the self, which leads to an unspoken conclusion in ourselves. I think, therefore I am. This is not the truth. The truth is exactly the opposite. I am, therefore the mind is thinking or not thinking. But to conclude that I think, therefore I am. So I have to think about the self. I have to think about the self. Is a wrong conclusion in ourselves. Vairagyameva abhayam. So, to the extent Vairagya is cultivated, and what is Vairagya? Indifference towards the world. Indifference doesn't mean touch me not. Indifference means being in the world but not of the world. Being with the family but not of the family. See? That only you can develop. And that can be developed by you coming to the conclusion that nothing in this world is worth. Only the self is worthy. Being the self is worthy, accumulating the world is not worthy. If it's coming, let it come. If it is not coming, nothing matters to me. Because I'm still who I am. I'm complete. Wealth doesn't make me complete. Family doesn't make me complete. Memories don't make me complete. Aspirations for the future, they don't make me complete. Possessions don't make me complete. I am complete in myself at any given moment. And why this whole list that I said, why they don't complete me? Because they come and go. I don't come and go. Think. And when you start inquiring like this, that the world comes and goes, time comes and goes, objects come and go, the space comes and goes. How does space come and go? The waking space comes and goes, dream space comes and goes, sleep space comes and goes. But Swamiji, I am coming and going. But who knows that these three come and go? That you are. You don't come and go. You come to yourself. Be yourself. Everything that comes and goes is worthy of rejection. And how do you reject? Not by pushing it away, because if you push it away, there is an equal opposite reaction. It will come back to you. Then what you? Indifferent, udasin bhav. Udasin bhav. Right now you are sitting and listening. You have udasin bhav towards all the things in the room. If you are sitting right now and you haven't had your coffee or breakfast before coming to the class, and if the stomach is making some sound, another 45 minutes, then I will have it. And for that period, once you make a resolve within that, theek hai, I am not going to give it attention, this is more interesting. Automatically, udasin bhav. It is there, you are hearing the stomach sounds, but you are not influenced by them, you are indifferent to them, you are not giving value to them. But the moment you give value and give attention to them, then you will get up and put something in the mouth away from the camera and then come back and sit down. Correct? We are all like that. Indifference. So dispassion, vairagya is, in spite of everything, maintaining indifference. And after maintaining indifference does not mean that now I could not get out of the house during COVID. Now, as we hear in the media, now there is revenge travel, there is revenge shopping, there is revenge involvement in the world, because 3 years we were locked in the lockdown, or 2.5 years we are in the lockdown. In Melbourne was the longest, 3 years. So now we are taking revenge of being locked down. Then vairagya is not must not lead to revenge. It must be resolved once and for all that there is no value in the world. That there is no value in the world. Therefore, best way to live is live with indifference towards the anatma, towards the not self. And therefore, here what is that world? Names and forms. What is that? Thoughts. Remain indifferent. The thoughts are coming, they are coming to the mind, it's got nothing to do with me. But we give value. I had a revelation, I got the numbers, I don't know what these numbers are for. Are they lottery numbers? Or is it the horse number? Or is it the roulette number? Or is it the blackjack number? Some number which is very important, it's not going out of my mind. My mind. It's coming in the mind. You have got nothing to do with it. Very quickly, when some interesting things like this happen in the mind, we get hijacked. We start giving importance, value, and immediately, what did it say? We can have desire only for anatma. We cannot have desire for the self. You can only have desire for the self as long as you are thinking about the self. As long as you think you need to experience the self, you feel that you have to abide in the self, that you feel that you have to realize the self, till then you will keep having thoughts of the self. And this is necessary in the beginning. When a student is starting, a seeker is starting his journey. But where Jnaneshwar Maharaj is coming from, he has concluded. He is not seeking anymore. You are your own conclusion. Till you don't accept that, you will keep seeking, meaning you will keep desiring. To the extent dispassion is developed about names and forms, to that extent one is established in one's own essential self. The more the vairagya, the more abidance in the Satvastu. What is discrimination? Discrimination between constant and changing. Discrimination between Sat and Asat, Chit and Achit. So the more the vairagya means indifference to all the stimuli. If stimuli are reducing, what are the three things that happen? Today's meditation: frequency of thought reduces, quality of thought shifts from tamasic to sattvic, and direction of thought changes from outward to inward. Automatically it happens. You don't have to worry about it. Provided as the frequency of thoughts is reducing, you don't start desiring, now I'm not remembering my phone number of my mother, I'm not, again you are desiring something, gone. And a mind in which the thought eruptions have reduced, that mind must, so it has been programmed before. And what is that? Discrimination. Not going into, oh, I'm losing my memory, is it dementia coming, I have to go to the doctor, what will happen if I can, how will I live my rest of my life? I think spirituality, why did they introduce me to all this? Are बेवकूफ है क्या, idiot? A correct approach is required. That means you studied everything, but the whole premise was wrong. And what was the premise? Searching objectively. Searching objectively. Search has to be objective to begin with, but it must lead to subjective abidance. For that, we study the scriptures. For that, we listen to satsang. For that, we come in contact with saints and sages. merely saying the Lord is everywhere, and but why he's not giving me darshan? Arre, if he's everywhere, you accept that, then he's inside you also. Are you? But you are not available. You say only lip service, he is everywhere. You are searching for him everywhere except where he is, where you should be looking for him within yourself. This desire, which is an expression of ignorance and is not because of ignorance, is also supported by the pure self. This desire, which is an expression of ignorance and is not because of ignorance, then what is it coming up due to? It's happening. It's a phenomena. Whose was the first desire? What was the first desire? The Parabrahma Paramatma. What do we say? As if desired. Let me be many. Why he wants to be many? Because he wants to, that is his nature. Sometimes many, sometimes zero. Sometimes many, sometimes zero. This is your nature also. In the deep sleep, zero. In the waking and dream, many. Can you stop that cycle? Can you stop the cycle of waking, dream and deep sleep? You cannot. I must have a thought continuously. You cannot have a continuous thought. Thought will come, stay, go. Then the next thought will come, stay, go. That is the nature of thought. Everything in creation is, in this world is like that. It comes and it goes. Pravritti, nivritti. Involvement, withdrawal. Involvement, withdrawal. Whether it is at microcosmic level or macrocosmic level. Even in that infinite waters, the coming and going of the waves is going on. Coming and going of the tides is going on. Coming and going of the evaporation is going on. The pouring of the rivers is going on. Can ocean do anything about it? Is ocean willing that let me be evaporated? Stupid. It's a natural phenomena. You don't say, let me wake up, let me dream, let me sleep. It is going on. You don't say that, let me be hungry, let me breathe. It's going on. You're just owning it up afterwards. That's the mistake. That you own it. Don't own it. Just watch. If at all, we have to say, if at all, from that the Ishvara desired to be many because he wanted to multiply his bliss many folds. He wanted to experience himself. One without a second cannot experience himself. How can one without a second think, have desire? It cannot. But to explain the creation, we say that as if desired. Now, his desire leads to Brahma, Vishnu. First is Shakti, that, and with reference to Shakti, which is Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, he is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and various gods and various elements, and everything that has come, that we see here today, past, present, future, is an expression of that Ishwar and Shakti. So if, what was the original desire? What was the original desire? Was it desire to be many just for the heck of it? No. He wanted, on one hand, it is happening. On the other hand, if we have to put words to it, he desired to experience himself more and more. Therefore, the universe is continuously expanding and collapsing at the same time. So, if original desire was pure, then can the subsequent desires be impure? If the original desire was of that perfect Purushottama, can the consequent desires of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and the various gods, and the various beings, and the human beings, are they outside of the original desire? Are they? No. If that pure desire of the Purushottama led to the manifestation of the creation, then creation is also perfect. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. It cannot be imperfect. And in that creation, there is this body, there is this desire, there is these convictions, everything is perfect. Not as you know it, you have to see it from his point of view. But accept. Once you accept, then the matrix will start collapsing. Then you will, and when is it collapsing? Not slowly. Then you will become aware, you will become a witness to the pravritti nivritti, to the waxing and waning of life as a principle. And you will accept that you are undisturbed by the coming and going of life. You are undisturbed by the coming and going of the day. You are undisturbed by the coming and going of breath. You are undisturbed by the coming and going of hunger. You are undisturbed by the coming and going of waking, dream, deep sleep. In other words, you become centered. And as this continues, it can happen in a flash, or it can take, and you can elongate it as long as you want by not choosing to be. Then if everything is like this only and I cannot do anything about this flux, this spandanam is this pravritti nivritti. Spandanam in English is flux. Everything is a flux in this creation. But who is independent of the flux? If you accept yourself as an individual, then you are in flux, waking dream, manifestation, deep sleep, non-manifestation, unmanifestation. So are you that, or are you the knower, the witness of coming and going of waking dream and deep sleep? So in your presence, the flux is taking place, and flux is only a phenomena, and that wave is only a phenomena. Coming and going of the wave cannot happen outside of water. It has to happen in water. Similarly, the flux of thoughts, the flux of waking, dream, deep sleep cannot happen outside consciousness. Just as waves are happening only on the surface of water, the thoughts are happening only on the surface of consciousness. But the material that has gone into all the thoughts is nothing but consciousness. To catch that, we have to be indifferent to everything. वो बहुत मज़ेदार है ये. At this moment itself, it's so wonderful to contemplate. I would never contemplate like this on this text if you are not there. Because if I open the book, हाँ सब पता है सो जाओ. But each sentence of Swamiji's is bringing out so much, explanation, contemplation, not explanation, contemplation. This desire, which is an expression of ignorance and is not because of ignorance. So, I have explained to you that desire, which is then all individual desires which are not outside the original desire of the divinity, then how can subsequent desires be impure? They must be his only. How can that one Shakti which is expressing as Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, how can Sattva is good and Tamas is bad? But all is expression of that one Shakti which is indifferent from the Ishvara. How can Tamas be bad then? But is Ishvara bringing the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas? No. The phenomena of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is happening. He is not saying, now you become Tamas, now you become Rajas, now I desire you to become nothing. It's automatic. Everything is a happening. And when it is a happening, you have again a contradictory language. It's happening or as an expression of ignorance and is not because of ignorance. Ignorance is not the cause. Cause of the wave is not ignorance. Cause of the wave is the total waters. Cause of the wave is it cannot be differentiated from water. Wave is water. Full stop. Wave is because of ignorance. No. So what is that power because of water is called a wave? That is Maya. What is that because of which I am calling the water, seeing the water, tasting the water, touching the water, but calling it wave? That is Maya. What is that because of which I am seeing the truth, touching the truth, thinking the truth, desiring the truth? Everything is truth. But I am calling it waking, dream, deep sleep. I am calling it father, son, daughter, partner, husband, wife, world of various forms. That is incomplete knowledge. According to Jnaneshwar Maharaj, it's incomplete knowledge, which is making us talk of one in many words. So just as all waves are nothing but water, the entire creation is nothing but the truth. Incomplete knowledge about that truth, non-acceptance of ourselves as the truth, is leading to this too many words. Continuing. When our attention is on the world, then we say there is absence and presence. When our attention is on is objective in nature, then we say there is knowledge or there is ignorance. When our attention is on the expression, then we say it is present or not present. Correct? But this present and not present is supported by something. That is the truth. Without that foundation, without that common denominator, presence and absence, the pravritti, nivritti, the flux cannot happen. And what is that common denominator? That is the water. What is that common denominator? The gold, the mud, the existence consciousness that I am. That is the common denominator. This is supported, what we have just said is supported by a few examples. Na dile zevadi kade आंत बाहिर सावडे तैसा निर्णय सुनाट पड़े केला येथ. He says, just as in the trick of the hand, one believes that the hand is inside the loop of strings but is actually outside these loops. Similarly, all the logic used to prove ignorance in the self fails. There are these several tricks of hand by which knots are seen to be made, but they are not knots. One such trick is referred to here. The hand is put inside the loop, but actually the hand is outside. Very simple way. I take this wire and I put a loop into this. And I see there is a loop. And I can use this loop to tie things and everything. And what I call it? I call it a loop, I call it a knot. But is it a knot? Is there anything called knot existing? Or is there only wire existing? So if you can take this to be a trick, if you can take this knot which appears in its own absence, similarly, the wave appears in its own absence, the ornament appears in its own absence, the pots appear in their own absence, the snake appears in its own absence. Continue. The world, forget the world. The husband, wife, your roles appear in their own absence. Same way, the thoughts appear in their own absence. The world appears in its own absence. And whatever appears in its own absence is unreal. And what is that which is appearing in its own absence? Name and form. The knot, what was that? It was a knot. It has a particular shape. It has a particular dimension. Same thing with the wave, same thing with the ornament, same thing with the pot. All of them were appearing in their own absence. They look real when you look at with your eyes. But little bit inquiry into their essence, you realize, there is only water. There is only gold. There is only mud. There is only pure consciousness. Mind is pure consciousness. When is it called mind? When thoughts as if appear on the surface of consciousness, then it is called mind. With reference to thoughts, consciousness is called mind. In absence of thoughts, mind is consciousness. You're getting what is said just now. With reference to thoughts, consciousness is called as mind. In the absence of thoughts, mind is nothing but consciousness. Where's the question of absence then? We talk about absence and presence of thoughts. We don't say absence and presence of consciousness. So when your approach is objective, then your attention was on thoughts, and now there are no thoughts, your attention goes on absence, and then fear and hallucinations and all that happens. But if you're attentive that, hey, this appearance and disappearance, absence and presence, it's only a phenomena. I am the witness. I am undisturbed, uninfluenced by the presence and absence of anything. Let it be thought, let it be world. You can't work out the whole world. I'm not disturbed by my husband. I'm not disturbed by my wife. I'm not disturbed by the sound outside. No. You be not disturbed by your own thoughts. Rather than the world, you work on yourself. And if you are undisturbed by your thoughts, automatically it will spread out into the whole world. You will not be disturbed by anything, because the whole world appears only as thought in your mind. In the same way, all the efforts to determine the presence of ignorance to be of the nature of Atma are useless. So those people, what is this ignorance? What is this Maya? How will I come to know Maya? Oh, you say that it is because of Maya I am seeing the names and forms. Where is this Maya? I have never seen her. You can never see her. But you said Ishvara is undisturbed by his Maya, but he is inseparable from the Maya. He and his power are one. You and your power are one. He is undisturbed by his Shakti. You are disturbed by your Shakti. His Shakti is also in the going through pravritti nivritti, involvement and withdrawal. Your mind is also going through involvement and withdrawal. Your mind is going through involvement, waking and dream, withdrawal, deep sleep. At the totality level, the Maya is also doing that. His Shakti is also, Ishvara's Shakti is also doing that. But he is not disturbed. You are disturbed by your Shakti. You are more innovative. You become attached only to waking. Rather than being attached, rather than being contemplative on the witness, you choose to be putting all your eggs in the basket of waking, and then create more complication for yourself. No doubt, sadhana can be done in waking, but we are not here talking about doing sadhana. We are talking here about being the self. You are the self in whose presence the involvement and withdrawal, waking and dream is involvement, deep sleep is withdrawal. This phenomena is going on. Who started this phenomena? Call it Maya Shakti, call it ignorance. Jnaneshwar Maharaj calls it incomplete knowledge. But here he is not even talking about incomplete knowledge. He says it does not matter. Don't try to work out which cannot be worked out. You bring your attention to the common denominator. You bring your attention to the constant principle. That is the Atma Tattva. So here he says, so either to remove ignorance is a lost cause, and to put efforts to remove ignorance is a lost cause, and to put efforts to realize is also lost cause. What will you do now? Atma Chintan is also a objective approach, and removal of ignorance which is never there is also a lost. How can you remove that which is not there? And how can you realize that which is always, which is you? See from where Jnaneshwar Maharaj is speaking. Catch it. Maja aa jayega. I'll repeat again. How can you remove ignorance which is not there? And how can you realize the self which you already are? And what is spirituality for us? Exactly the opposite of what we just said. Removal of ignorance and realization of the self is spirituality for us. Or seeking the self is realization for us, spirituality for us. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, all this is to get out of the clutches of expression of ignorance, isn't it? है ही नहीं, फालतू में लगे हुए हो. You did all this only because you accepted you are the individual. Therefore the word yoga, I have to unite with the Paramatma. That means you have not accepted that you are of the nature of self. Karo. I accept I am of the nature of self, but it's not clicking. Okay, then all this will happen. Yama, niyama, whatever, all this will happen. Now come to point. Now there is nothing. Everything is gone. No. He's saying you can't realize the self because you are already that. Now, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Don't forget that part. And he's not said chitta vritti nirodha. Immediately after that is tada drashtuhu. And he's not saying tada drashtuhu with a thought. Now see this tada drashtuhu. See your essence. When the mind has become quiet of all the thoughts, now see yourself, your own essential nature as the constant one. He did not say using a thought. He did not say that. Means recognize, discover that when the thoughts conclude, you are. And what it must lead to? Then now you will not wait for every thought, every time, every day. Now I have to reduce the thoughts, I have to become zero, and then I will go back to myself. No. Once you come to know, then you should know that presence and absence of thoughts is a phenomena. I am the common denominator. I am the constant one. Then no one has proved conclusively what is the precise nature of Satchit Ananda is. Nobody has. Because we have already seen in the previous chapter, Sat is used only to counteract Asat. Chit is used to counteract Achit. Ananda word is used to counteract Dukkham. And he said the truth, the reality, the self, even the word self is only used to counteract not self. Atma, Anatma. So actually no word can stick to the reality. No word can stick to it. And therefore, when saints are asked, or why you are smiling, our Dakshinamurti, Maunam Vyakhyat, no words are required. He is in his own bliss, conscious bliss, uncaused bliss, non-referential bliss, non-specific bliss. That is our nature, which is ever constant. That is the substratum, the common denominator. Whether you call it bliss, whether you call it being, whether you call it consciousness, doesn't matter. Whatever names. But we have to go beyond the names. We have to accept what those names are indicating. What is the bhav? If it says beginningless and endless, words are beginning and ending. But what that word is saying, beginningless and endless, that has to be Atma Bhavena accepted, not thought Bhavena. Atma Bhavena, Swarupa Bhavena. See? The only thing to do is to be silent. Maunam Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Yuvanam. Just be and expose oneself to silence till the mind is quietened. Our quietness is the moment mind becomes quiet, we go to sleep. The moment our mind becomes quiet, we go into laya, nidra. We have to go into conscious silence. When you become alert of the condition called sleep, that is what you have to achieve. Now, to be silent, what can you do? You'll think, oh, I have to be silent. If you keep thinking, I have to be silent, you will never be silent. Oh, I have to remove thoughts. I have to remove thoughts. I have to, like one person is living in Adelaide. I know him for last 25 years, 30 years. He was a young boy that time. And whole life he is spending only in meditation. Doesn't work. Only meditation. Lives on a farm in one bus somewhere of my friends. And deep contemplator. Deep contemplator. If you read his SMSs, he says, but I understand everything, I am that, but I have to clear the impurities. But I said, self is not an impurity. Self is ever pure. By nature it is pure. No, but to abide in the self, I have to remove the impurities and I have to dive back into the mind and bring out, clear out all the subconscious impressions, the vasanas. And this is the thought fixation that he has. That he wants to, that abidance is not happening because there is impurity. He has accepted there is impurity. He has given validity to the impurity. He is giving importance to the impurity. Meaning ignorance. And he feels that until unless he does not remove all the impurities, till then abidance will not happen. He gets glimpses every now and then. But Sahaj Bhav is not happening because I have to remove the vasanas. Has anyone till today been able to remove the vasanas? See, we get caught up in these type of things. If he listens to this, maybe he will understand where he is going wrong. But sometimes, because we have been practicing something for such a long time, we feel that is the correct one. We were also doing this. I also once upon a time used to do only this. Sit in meditation, even before going to ashram. Sit in meditation and bring out whatever the shortcomings were within me, bring out and become indifferent to it. But there is no end to it. Because essentially you are the infinite and phenomena is infinite. You try to remove one by one the phenomena, more phenomena will come. Until and unless you don't accept that you are the source of the whole phenomena. When you accept that, there is no phenomena. See? So, the only thing to do is to be silent, and just be and expose oneself to silence till the mind is quietened, then emptied, and then the aham idam vrittis, subject object thoughts, get united. And the pure consciousness that I am is experienced without an experiencer. Being effortless is the highest sadhana. See, acceptance of specificity, reference, acceptance of thought, acceptance of efforts, acceptance of duality, acceptance that I am not the Atma, I have to do something to be the Atma. All this leads to thinking or an effort. Efforts is thinking. How it expresses at physical level or breath level or emotional level or intellectual level, that's a different matter. Everything is thought. Thinking is effort. And what is thought? Subject, object play with each other, with an instrument. And as you are exposing yourself to silence, how will you expose to silence? By being indifferent to the thoughts, then the silence will come. Giving no value to the thoughts. Or catching yourself to those natural moments where the silence is naturally appearing before sleep and after sleep. Or sometimes during the day where you are absolutely at peace with yourself. Mind is at peace. When there is no desire in the mind. See? So at that time, when the silence, it may happen spontaneously, or it may happen after some time of exposure to silence. And what is that which will happen after exposure to silence? Subject and object dichotomy is only possible when there is a thought. Understand? Is this clear? That one consciousness is appearing on one hand as subject and the other hand as object. It is only possible if there is a thought. Correct? If there is no thought, where have the subject and object gone? Silence is no thought state, isn't it? If there is no thought, where has the subject and object gone? कभी सोचा नहीं होगा ऐसे? They merge into each other. But we are smarter than the scriptures. We are smarter than the saints and sages. No, no. When there is silence, there is nothing. And we create another object called nothing. And then face the consequences of phobia, fear, etc., etc. And we have talked about nothing before. Jnaneshwar Maharaj addressed it in such detail. So what is happening in silence? Subject, the dichotomy, the one hand separated into two, the one consciousness as if appearing as two. What is wave? Waves, one water as if appearing as many waves. It is one water only, but appearing as. What is rainbow? One light appearing as 7 colors. One woman appearing as mother, daughter, sister. One woman. One mind appearing as 5 senses or many thoughts. Similarly, one consciousness appearing as only phenomenal, as subject and object. When there is silence, subject and object become merged, or in other words, subject and object become, they neutralize each other, because there is nothing for it to, there is no reason for the phenomena to exist. Conditions have to be right for phenomena to come. If your attention is on the thought, then the subject-object dichotomy will keep happening. If your attention is on what the thought is indicating, Aham Brahmasmi is a thought, but your attention is on being the all-pervasive principle, then the thought will die its own death. But what it was indicating, what it was suggesting, that cannot die, because that I am. There you go. And therefore, in that silence, self alone is, remember, it is conscious silence. And silence is not an object. Silence is only with reference to objects, that before there were objects, now there are no objects. Before there was sound in the mind, now there is no sound in the mind. Before there were no names and forms, now there are no names and forms. Before there were thoughts, now there are no thoughts. In that no thought disposition, where the subject-object dichotomy is not taking place, I still am. I am. I am. And that I am experience in the silence, that I am experience in the silence is not because of thought. I had a good sleep. I am well rested. I am rejuvenated. It is the conclusion. After meditation, samadhi, you come out. In samadhi, there was no thought. But after samadhi, you say, oh, I was absolutely at one moment with myself. I was at peace. There was no thought. You were conscious. Conscious is all knowing. But if you ask the person actually what happened, he can't tell you what happened. Because there were no thoughts there. We can only tell through symptoms. Scriptures only tell the symptoms. They don't tell exactly what that state of being is. They cannot. Because scriptures talk in duality. Self is beyond duality. It is non-duality. It is Vedanta. It is one without a second. Being effortless is the highest sadhana. So live your life. Don't put, accept that everything in this creation is happening within you. Where can you go to be complete? Nowhere. Whatever his wish. Kailash to Kailash, Bali to Bali, roti sabji to roti sabji, at home to at home, wherever he is placing you. And even if you say wherever he is placing you, still it is duality. But having no doubt about yourself, once you have come to recognize that you are the self and you are beyond space, time, and objectivity, then such a person finds himself in the perfect space, in the perfect time, with the perfect objectivity, perfect objects. Then all that is taking place, the people see that even if you come close to it, you are not come to realize, but you are continuously exposing yourself to the silence. You will start finding your whole life getting sorted out, and you will find yourself in the right place at the right time with the right circumstances, right people, right experiences, and it becomes effortless. उसको हमारे संत महात्मा बोलते हैं अब मस्ती चढ़ गई है, क्योंकि कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. सिर्फ प्रभु, you have to just be immersed in the self or in the Lord. Both will come to the same conclusion. That is effortless living. That is where people who have, when such type of realization is there, not abidance, but realization is there that array, everything is taken care of, then sannyas. That is the recognition that nothing in this world is, nothing is required to be done, yet everything is happening. There is no desire to be fulfilled, yet everything is happening. Wherever life is placing, because everything is happening in me, nothing is outside of me. What can I desire then? Anyway, enough of words. Now you take a cup of tea, beautiful day, sit in your backyard and contemplate what we have discussed today, contemplated on today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.